NFL roster cuts are coming up in just a day, and the Saints are going to have to make some pretty tough decisions, but one that should be pretty easy is when it comes to undrafted rookie free agent offensive lineman Torricelli Simpkins, because man has this guy been balling, man does this guy look good, and the Saints may have found another hidden gem in these undrafted waves and waiver claims. This guy is standing out, and he provides something that the Saints currently do not have at the offensive line position. I'm excited to see what he can do, and he 100% should be making the Saints roster. And we're going to be talking about Torricelli Simpkins in today's video. I'm Cash, and you should take 5 seconds to like the video and subscribe. Help support the channel. We're trying to get to 15,000 subscribers by the end of the year, maybe by like week 1 or something. We're almost at 14,000. Appreciate the support. Let's keep this thing going. We got a channel update at the end of the video, and with all that being said, let's dive into it. Offensive lineman Torricelli Simpkins is an undrafted guy who the Saints signed this offseason after the NFL draft. He's just the guy who kind of flew under the radar. Not a whole lot of people paid attention to him when the team signed him, as most people do with these undrafted free agents who aren't wide receivers, running backs, or quarterbacks. But Simpkins might be their best undrafted rookie player, and you could argue that he's been maybe one of their better rookies. Now, when the team signed Torricelli Simpkins, obviously he was not going to be a starter unless he just blew the roof open. The starting 5 offensive linemen kind of seemed set, dating back all the way to April and May, and Banks, Penning, McCoy, Ruiz, and Flogga. That seemed like the 5 starting offensive linemen, and that should be the starting 5 offensive linemen. That feels like the best 5 players at those positions. And while I don't think Torricelli Simpkins has quite yet knocked on the door in terms of pushing for one of these guys' starting jobs, primarily at the guard spot, I think overall he has looked awesome for the Saints in these first few preseason games. Simply just going over some of the footage from these games, like I haven't watched every single play and every single rep of him, but he does something on film almost every single game, every few drives that just pops off on screen, and you're like, the Saints got themselves a big player in Torricelli Simpkins and a big baller. He's at center on all of these clips. This one was versus the Jags. Here he is. Look at big man number 68 snapping the ball to Tyler Shuck. Snaps it, boom, lays a man on the ground and goes for blood. He goes in for the extra jab on the defensive lineman, knocks him on his ass, and then goes for the head, and then goes for the kill because he wants blood every single play. First preseason game versus the Chargers, he wanted the double kill. He got one. He couldn't quite get the second one. Here he is snapping the ball to Spencer Rattler, looking for someone to knock over, and then he does. The linebacker doesn't blitz. He's looking around. Who can I hit? Who can I knock on their ass? Knocks someone on their ass. Turns over. Goes for the double kill, but couldn't quite do it. But he did kind of get the guy over there. Helped out his right guard. This guy is really, this dude's a monster. He's always looking for the big hit. He's always wanting blood. He's always trying to put someone on the defense on their ass. And that's the kind of player the Saints need on this offense. They need a menace, a guy who's trying to put the other team in the dirt, and someone who just doesn't give a crap what the other team thinks about them. This is the kind of player the Saints have been needing for a while, especially on offense. And Torricelli Simpkins, in his first NFL preseason game ever, he actually came in for Will Clapp after he got injured, and he played 97% of the game when he probably should have been playing like 60 or was expecting to play 60. Came in and looked awesome, and according to Ross Jackson, in his first preseason game, when he came in unexpectedly, he allowed one pressure, 97% of the snaps. First preseason game, undrafted guy, great start. Jags game wasn't as good, but didn't give up a sack, wasn't noticeably horrible on film. He looked good for the Saints. In this final game versus the Broncos, he looked solid, didn't give up anything huge, and that's good. Did not look like a liability. The 33rd team put out this tweet on Sunday about offensive linemen who've had the most pass protection snaps in the preseason without allowing a single sack during the preseason. Guess who's at the top? Torricelli Simpkins for the Saints, playing 109 snaps, the most snaps out of all of these guys, and allowed 0 sacks at the center position. And before we dive into that real quick, let's give a shout out to Easton Kilty, another undrafted guy who the Saints signed. He's a tackle, but I think the Saints had him playing guard. 0 sacks allowed for him, so shout out to him. I don't know if that guy's going to make the team. I will have to see, but Torricelli Simpkins 100% is the guy who should be making the team because they have him playing backup center. His natural position is actually guard, so they have him out of position. He played center in college, like back in 2022, 2023. They have him playing a position that he hasn't played in a few years, and he's killing it right now. Didn't give up a sack, undrafted guy, moving people all around and putting guys on their ass. He's someone who has been standing out just as much as the rookies who were drafted. Now, sometimes it's hard to tell whether or not these undrafted guys make the team or don't make the team. Like last year, Mason Tipton, he didn't play a preseason game, but he looked good, but was undrafted during camp. But he ended up making the team. Same with Rico Payton. And Torricelli Simpkins is someone who I think should 100% make the team. I don't think he's a guy who the Saints are going to be able to like waive and then get him on the practice squad after waiver wires. I think if you cut him, another team is going to pick him up pretty early. Like the Titans might pick him up with the #1 waiver wire. Like someone is going to definitely sign him to the team. Plus, if you waive him, maybe he doesn't want to come back kind of thing. But all that aside, like Torricelli Simpkins 100% not only should make the roster, but he has earned a spot on the roster from camp in the preseason. And something that's going well for him is the injuries that have occurred to the offensive line. Will Clapp got injured on the first snap of the first preseason game and was then placed on injured reserve, so he's out for the entire season. Trevor Penning dealing with the turf toe injury. He has a boot on his right foot. He's going to be out for a few weeks. I don't know if he'll be back for week 1. Landon Young in this past preseason game versus the Broncos was carted off the field with an ankle injury. Who knows if he's going to be playing or returning back this season. He could be out. Nick Saldivari, guard, got injured like during training camp. He's out for the season. He was placed on injured reserve. So there's been injuries to the offensive line, which opens up opportunities and roster spots for Torricelli Simpkins to make the team, especially at backup center behind Eric McCoy, with Will Clapp being injured for the rest of the season. The Saints starting 5 offensive line, for the most part has been healthy, but the depth behind them has been getting killed, and the depth behind them for the most part already wasn't great. Now, I'm not too sure what the future outlook for him looks like, considering the Saints did trade for a backup center with the Jacksonville Jaguars and Luke Fortner about a week ago. Although Luke Fortner was probably someone who the Jags were going to cut anyway, so I'm not too sure if the Saints view him as the backup center behind Eric McCoy. Like, do they value his snaps and veteran presence over Torricelli Simpkins' upside and development? Does he become the backup center over Simpkins, and then do they try Simpkins out at guard? Something else that's going for him is that Cesar Ruiz has not looked good in training camp or preseason. Trevor Penning, final year of the contract. Does he play this season? How often is he hurt? Is he good? If one of those two guys is gone next season or they have a bad season, that opens up 2 roster spots for Torricelli Simpkins to possibly compete at the position that he's best at guard. And I know a lot of you are saying to start him over Ruiz or Penning or Radens at left guard while Penning is out. I don't necessarily know if Simpkins is ready yet to be a week 1, day 1 starter going against that Cardinals front where there's going to be a lot better players. The defense is not as vanilla. I don't know if he's gotten any reps at guard playing next to Fuaga and McCoy or McCoy and Banks. And do you want 2 rookies on the left side of the offensive line with these quarterbacks? He's a guy who I think needs to develop a little bit before you put him out there as a starter, but I could be wrong. He could be someone who goes out there and kills it the same way he went out there in the preseason and killed it week 1. I just don't necessarily know if he is a day 1 starter at the moment, but I think his upside definitely provides that opportunity, especially with the inconsistent play and question marks at guard for the Saints. I love his playing style. I just think maybe there needs to be a little bit more polishing and redefining before you put him out there to block guys and edge rushers and defensive tackles who are really good and beat like some of the best guards in offensive linemen in the NFL. I'm not saying Simpkins can't handle it. I'm just saying you might want to just polish up his game a little bit before you do kind of mention him as a guy who could be starting down the line. Something I really like about Torricelli Simpkins is his mindset and his play style when it comes to football. Matthew Paris did this article about him, and this is a quote from Simpkins saying, "When I see somebody running around on the defense, I try to go hit them as hard as I can so they don't do that again." I love that mentality. And then right here, Paris says that the undrafted free agent is ready to hit some dudes on the field, which we've seen, but he has everything the Saints want in terms of play style, that being a bully, knocking the defense on their ass and setting the tone. That's a play style I love from him, and this mentality is awesome. When I messaged him when the Saints were signed him, his response to me was, "You guys just got the best lineman in the draft. Undrafted guy, but has the confidence and knows his skill set." I love that mentality. He's confident in himself. He's confident in how he plays, and it definitely shows up on film. Saints head coach Kellen Moore was asked about Torricelli Simpkins after the second preseason game versus the Jags, and Kellen Moore said that he likes the consistency and play style that he has, which we just mentioned. But Kellen Moore giving props to an undrafted guy saying this. I think says a lot and bodes well for the undrafted offensive lineman. Now, something that we're not doing is giving props to the Saints, and the Saints definitely deserve their props for finding Torricelli Simpkins as an undrafted guy. The scouting on him was great, finding him was great, getting him in the building was awesome, and giving him the opportunity to play and see what you have in him was awesome. Every year, the Saints seem to find like one really solid undrafted guy, and Torricelli Simpkins seems to be that guy. Last year was Mason Tipton. Let's see if he can translate that to the field. Obviously, they found Rashid Shaheed. They found Deontay Hardy. Torricelli Simpkins might be that guy this year, and at a position where the Saints need a lot of help at the offensive line, especially the depth behind Eric McCoy, who's injury prone, and the guard spots, which are big question marks for the team. And I love the fact that he's balling out as an undrafted guy. He's an extension of the draft class, and this draft class so far has looked really good. Kelvin Banks, I've not really noticed him at all, which is awesome. That means he's doing his job. Tyler Shuck is obviously, we've talked about a whole bunch. Vernon Broughton started flashing recently. Jonas Sanker has been a stud throughout the whole preseason. Quincy Riley and Danny Stutzman have been making plays. Devin Neal got his first action. I thought he looked good. Maliki Matavo was okay. He made some plays versus the Broncos, and then Fadil Diggs is a guy who's looked pretty good, but I don't know if he makes the team. And now we got two undrafted guys in Torricelli Simpkins and edge rusher Jasheem Davis being extensions of that draft class and making plays and being a wave of this youth movement for the Saints. This is all positive movement and momentum for the Saints and this team, which desperately needs good young players. With roster cuts tomorrow, each team needs to get down to 53-man rosters. But Simpkins, like I said, 100% should be making the team. And if he doesn't, that's an issue because Simpkins is a stud, a hidden gem. They did an excellent job scouting him and finding him and getting him into the building. And if they were to lose him at a valuable position group, have another team pick him up would just absolutely be stupid, which would be a part of the long list of things that this front office has done over the past 5 years. But I doubt Torricelli Simpkins gets cut. I think he has definitely solidified himself on the team. Just a quick update about the channel too as well. I'm recording this on Sunday, going out Monday. Moving forward, we're going to be doing like a day ahead schedule. Got classes now, school starting back up. So if I miss some news for a day, the video's probably coming out the next day. We're just back on that school schedule. So videos might come out, I don't know, a few hours later. Schedule's a little bit wonky and all that. So that's the update about the channel. Tomorrow is roster cuts. We'll probably have a video about all the roster cuts and all that on Wednesday, and then go over the 53-man depth chart on Thursday, and then go over whoever the Saints claim off of waivers on Friday. Just a heads up on what the schedule is probably going to be looking like for the upcoming semester in NFL season. Thanks for making it to the end of the video. Make sure to like and subscribe. Help support the channel. Let me know your thoughts on Torricelli Simpkins down in the comments below. Should he make the team? Because obviously I think he should. I'm Cash. I'll catch you next time. Have a good one.